There have been 3 wonderful seasons of Smiling Friends and a collection of shorts released thus far. And this is every Smiling Friends episode ranked. Starting off with the pilot, which I vividly remember watching back in April 2020, the moment it came onto the Adult Swim YouTube channel. And honestly, my nostalgia for discovering the show early, as well as seeing just how great it would become, definitely does make me view the pilot with rose-tinted glasses. But having said that, the pilot is genuinely a great episode in its own merit. I mean, in the first 30 seconds, we have this all-time classic back and forth between Charlie and Pim.
This is gonna be great, Charlie. I love helping kids. I love kids, Charlie. I love kids!
Pim, I would really not be screaming that at the top of your lungs.
And beyond just that, the premise of the pilot is brilliant, the characters are introduced incredibly smoothly, the B-plot of Alan looking for his cheese works very well, and the animation, despite not being nearly as polished as it would become, still does add a comforting charm to this pilot. Although, of course, just like every pilot in existence, this isn't the strongest episode of season 1, but it's a remarkable start and it gets an 8.2. Following on from a highly anticipated pilot is absolutely a lot to live up to, and in my view, Mr. Frog does that pretty perfectly. I mean, hey, he literally eats the bug, what more could you ask for?
I'm Mr. Frog, this is my show, I ate the bug. I ate the bug, this is the end, I love you.
And for me, the Mr. Frog episode has arguably the most laughs per minute out of any in season 1, as the Jimmy Fallon appearance, the shooting range, and of course, Charlie's constant callback to his mysterious uncle are all moments that still make me laugh upon my 10th rewatch.
My uncle had some sleeping pills laying around to help him sleep at night after he rammed his car into a crowd of people.
Your uncle seems to get into lots of car accidents.
Yeah, he loves his cars. He loves his cars.
And with the Gleb side plot of taking over the Mr. Frog show being fantastic, I give this episode a well-earned 8.7. Shrimp's Odyssey is a brilliantly chaotic take on a traditional love story, with Pim and Charlie helping a shrimp obsessed with the game Mouse Quest, with the task of winning back his one true love, Shrimpina.
Hooray! I just reached level 987413 in Mouse Quest.
And throughout this episode, it's mainly Charlie who bears the load of this responsibility, with Charlie teaching Shrimp how to stand up for himself, dress like a normal person, and of course, become a true alpha male just like Charlie.
How do I look, yellow man?
You look like you're about to tell your friend not to come to school tomorrow, man.
But the thing that truly makes this episode stand out for me is the B-plot of Pim falling in love with Shrimpina, only to have his girl stolen from him by Shrimp himself.
Wait, are you serious? You're telling me you're a 4'6" shrimp with a receding hairline who loves Mouse Quest? You're literally everything I've ever dreamed about.
And given the Smormoo appearance at the end of the episode, which, by the way, was absolutely rigged, Smormoo will always be the 5th Smiling Friend, and the fact that this is my girlfriend's favorite episode, well, this all leads to a very solid 8.5. Okay, so at this point, you may be thinking, wow, Mr. harryfromends, are you just going to sit there and glaze every single Smiling Friends episode? Well, no. No, I'm not. As Season 1's silly Halloween episode is one of my least favorites in the entire series. Truthfully, this isn't because the episode does anything horribly wrong, but even after rewatching multiple times, I really only remember laughing once at the blackface bit at the end of the episode.
Is that fucking blackface, dude?
Get the f out, man!
Which, admittedly, is a great payoff and is absolutely hilarious. But overall, this episode is very unmemorable and it gets a 6. Who Violently Murdered Simon S. Salty is definitely one of the most divisive episodes in the Smiling Friends fanbase, with some fans loving it and calling it a top 5 episode, and others saying that it's plainly just overrated, which, funnily enough, actually mirrors the conversation that Charlie and Pim have at the start of the episode.
Hammer, I thought it was artistically and tastefully done. I thought it was a well-done sequence.
Oh, it's funny, that was the part I really didn't like. Just too violent.
And so, which side of the Simon S. Salty fence do I sit on? Well, neither. As in my view, it's a perfectly okay episode, with my favorite part about it being how comforting the Smiling Friends universe looks at night. Well, that is until all the bloody violence breaks out.
All right, next time I'm picking the food.
And on top of that, I do also think that the Century Egg is a brilliant character, and of course, that Salt and Pepper make a beautiful couple. But this episode still doesn't really stand out for me, and it gets a 7.3. After a couple of somewhat forgettable episodes, Smiling Friends returns with a bang. And that bang is the Enchanted Forest, which sees Pim, who kisses his dad on the mouth,
You kissed your dad on the mouth?
accompany Charlie on a heroic mission. Well, that is, if they can get there first.
Oh, we were right there, man!
And the Enchanted Forest is truly Smiling Friends at its wacky best, with the triangle of Mip, Charlie, and Pim working brilliantly, and the payoff of Mip being a psychotic Bjorg stalker reference is just such a wonderful way to round off this episode. And overall, it gets an 8.9. Frowning Friends is, in my view, the premiere episode of Season 1, and it's always the episode that I show people when I want to get them into Smiling Friends.
Don't look, Charlie.
Is this really supposed to be? I mean, I've seen way worse stuff than this on the internet.
And, well, this is for good reason, as the plotline of having a rival business making people frown is just absolutely genius. And it gives us two of my personal favorite characters in the series, 3D Squelton and DJ Spitz.
You're trying to mess with me. Get out of my head. Get out of my head! Get out of my head!
And alongside that, there's a plethora of laugh out loud moments throughout the episode, as well as a brilliantly blunt ending where the Renaissance men who Pim was confused at the start of the episode come in to kill Grim and Gnarly right as they're having their emotional breakthrough.
Wait, so you knew they were going to come and kill Grim and Gnarly with arrows and stuff?
No, I didn't know that was going to
Who are
happen.
the Renaissance men? I don't know
what.
what that means, because that's
I'm
not
just saying-
Renaissance. But that's not, they don't look like Renaissance men. What?
And with this said, Frowning Friends gets my best score of Season 1 at 9.1. The season finale, Charlie Dies and Doesn't Come Back, is a fitting end to a mostly strong season, with Charlie literally dying for real, where he's then sent to hell, where he meets a demon who he punches in the stomach, and of course, his grandma, who, let's just say, is a little bit quirky.
More for me!
And despite not being my favorite episode of Season 1, there are still plenty of moments that make me laugh, such as one of the ghouls not knowing what to say to Charlie.
You're never leaving! This is your final resting place, time's up, Charlie! I'm sorry, I couldn't think of anything to say.
Nah, there's no pressure, man. It's all good. You didn't have to say anything.
As well as Gilbert Gottfried, rest in peace to him, literally playing the character of God, which ultimately bumps my score for this episode up to a 7.8. This episode is bad, and I know what you're thinking, no, that's just the bit, you're taking it too seriously, but no, this episode is just bad. I mean, it's literally just all of the Smiling Friends characters having an argument at the airport. Which, yes, I get is the entire bit, but this episode still gets a 4. Okay, so after a great season 1 and a lackluster Brazil special, fans of the show had mixed expectations of what season 2 was going to bring. But as it turns out, the season 2 opener would give us one of the show's greatest ever episodes, with Gwimbly being my personal favorite ever client that the Smiling Friends have ever taken on.
Oh, I swear to God, if I had my Gwimbly gun on me right now!
And alongside Gwimbly, the chicken nugget dipping CEO made for a spectacular villain. And the B-plot of Charlie getting tortured by James will just simply never not make me laugh, no matter how bad I feel for Charlie.
And guess what? It takes a lot to make me smile.
Huh?
Sorry, it was just a gulp.
Oh, okay.
And with all of this said, the season 2 opener gets a 9.2. From one of the best episodes in the show, we now go to one of the worst. Well, at least in my view. With the live action President Jimble being absolutely disgusting to look at, and definitely nowhere near funny enough to have him outside of a small gag, let alone be the main character of an entire episode. I mean, it gets so bad that at one point they straight up need to have subtitles because no one can even understand this character.
Hello everyone, welcome. I'm honored to be here today with the Prime Minister of Plingo, Mr. Plingo. He's an honor, he's honored among his people, and he's a total value of the United States. Thank you.
And despite there being some funny moments, like the Mr. Frog debate or Charlie saying that worms rule the planet, this still isn't enough to salvage this episode, and it gets a 3. Despite season 2 lacking the consistency of season 1, An Alan Adventure is without a doubt the show's magnum opus, with Alan being tasked by the boss with the seemingly simple mission of finding some paper clips.
I really hurt my finger doing that paperclip bit. Yeah, no, I saw.
However, this takes Alan on a fantastically animated adventure featuring some of our old favorites like DJ Spitz, as well as a wacky new host of characters that torture Alan on his pursuit to get these paper clips, with the payoff that it was the landlord the entire time being perfectly executed.
It was all a ruse, you pathetic little ant. For you see, I, the landlord, was the mastermind the entire time.
And overall, this is an absolute gem of an episode, and it gets a 9.4. But of course, because season 2 gave us a great episode, this means that the next episode needs to be rather lackluster, which is unfortunately true for the season 2 Halloween episode. And similar to the season 1 Halloween episode, The Boss Finds Love definitely isn't bad, but it also isn't memorable in any significant way, with the only bit that really sticks out to me being Alan's visit to Dr. Monster.
Alan, are you coming?
No, I've got to go to my Dr. Monster's appointment with Dr. Monster.
Who is Dr. Monster?
What is that? I've got to go. Bye.
I don't know what that is still.
And for me, with very few laugh out loud moments, this episode gets a 6.5. Okay, so this is going to be a controversial one, as I know that a lot of Smiling Friends fans actually love this episode, as well as the use of rotoscoping, but I, however, do not. In fact, I found quite a lot of this episode to be quite jarring, with the argument between Professor Psychotic and his brother just dragging on way too long, and the only real laugh out loud moments coming when Charlie is teaching Professor Psychotic how to pick up the ladies.
Hello, I am Professor Psychotic. I'm making an egg with my DNA in my evil laboratory.
And with that said, I know a lot of people might disagree with me on this one, but the Brothers Egg gets a 5.9. Charlie, Pim, and Bill versus the Alien is a truly wacky and brilliant episode, which sees Pim and Charlie, oh, and of course Bill, being abducted onto an alien spaceship.
Oh my god, it's real! I was just fucking around before. Oh my god, it's a real UFO!
And the thing that makes this episode stand out for me, other than of course the Earth being flat, is just how experimental this episode is with the animation, which in my view actually set the groundwork for some of the more experimental scenes in season 3. And of course, with all of the jokes pretty much landing consistently, I give this episode an 8.4. The magical red jewel, aka Tyler Gets Fired, or more simply the Spamtopia episode, is definitely a mixed bag, with the A-plot of Mr. Boss and Pim being very funny and well animated, whereas by contrast, the B-plot of Charlie and Alan I thought was more forced and unnecessary, and it was if the writers just needed something to do with the characters in order to fill up the time.
Oh, you killed the baby, Alan! You killed the baby! You killed the baby! You killed the baby, Alan! You killed the baby, Alan!
But overall, I'd say that this episode does more good than bad, and the end credit scene of Charlie and Tyler linking up at the bar was a really nice touch. And so, this episode gets a 7.7. Pim didn't turn green, 1 out of 10, literally unwatchable. Okay, but on a real note, this episode for being a season finale was quite underwhelming, with the client Rotten the Snowman definitely being more annoying than he ever was funny. And this is a big problem when the whole episode revolves around him. But there are also some brilliant moments, such as Charlie and Alan discussing whether the boss should do stand-up.
I think you should do stand-up, you know what I'm saying?
Probably not stand-up, but no, he is funny.
Yeah, try to stand-up, but yeah.
No, it's harder.
It's just different,
yeah. It's a different arena.
Yeah.
As well as Charlie's patriotic speech at the end of the episode. And so, I give the season 2 finale a 7. Considering the first 2 season openers were absolute bangers, it was a shame that this one fell a bit flat, with the B-plot of the building inspector being, in my view, far more entertaining than the A-plot with Silly Samuel, as the character of Silly Samuel was mostly just him shouting, and yeah, loud doesn't always equal funny. Although by far the best thing to come out of this episode is the self-insert from the cool autistic gamer 774, as there's an entirely new ending to this episode where the Smiling Friends building crushes everyone, and Pim and Charlie get really annoyed at the cool autistic gamer 774.
Hi. You just watched.
Sorry.
What?
Sorry, the cool autistic gamer 774. You're not now. Just not now.
And overall, this episode is decent and gets a 7.2. The third and most likely final entry in the Mr. Frog trilogy is without a doubt one of the show's greatest ever episodes, as the whole story flows brilliantly, the pacing is great, and most importantly, it delivers on the laughs.
I mean, the medals are nice though. I like how shiny and they're they're kind of nice to look at.
I don't even want these.
Can I have them? Okay, that's fine.
And on top of being a hilarious episode, getting Creed from The Office to play Mr. Frog's dad was simply a stroke of genius, as he actually delivered an incredibly moving performance, which makes the Mr. Frog enlightenment scene all the more impactful.
Goodbye.
And with all of this said, the third episode in the Mr. Frog trilogy gets a 9.3. And from one great episode, we go on to another, as Moleman sees a deranged mole who constantly hides his genitals, kidnap Pim and Charlie, and force them to recreate their natural funny dialogue in an incredibly forced way, with the character of Moleman, in my view, being a brilliant stand-in for some of the more deranged fans of the show.
Alright, go!
What do you mean?
Just, do funny stuff. Do your classic realistic dialogue with each other.
Hi Pim. How are you doing?
And the Alan and Glep B-plot for Moleman is just as brilliant, with both the A-plot and the B-plot tying in very well at the end. And with all of these pieces coming together incredibly well, Moleman gets an 8.7. The Curse of the Green Witch is definitely the best Halloween episode so far, which, I mean, yeah, isn't exactly the highest bar, but this episode truly does stand out in its own right, with the Pim killing spree in particular being incredibly cathartic after what seems like an entire season of the characters being needlessly mean to Pim. And with the animation being incredibly strong throughout, as well as there being lots of different Easter eggs such as the pyramid head from Silent Hill, well, it's hard to not enjoy this episode, and it gets an 8.5. Mother Nature is, for the most part, a pretty skippable episode. I mean, don't get me wrong, there definitely are some brilliant moments in there, such as the rotoscope boss dapping up Pim right at the start.
Dude, you like Super Monkey Ball? Pim. Bro, I knew I liked you, dude. Come here, bring it in. Bring it in, brother.
Oh, and of course, how could I forget, the scene where Alan licks the cookie crumbs off of the boss is 100% going to be shown in the Smiling Friends subreddit for at least the next 10 years. But other than that, I didn't really find it funny at all, and it definitely isn't an episode that I would show someone getting into the show. And with that, Mother Nature gets a 6.5. Squim Returns is truly Smiling Friends at its best, as the character of Squim is a perfect exaggeration of Pim's character, and it also serves as a great example of just how harmful toxic positivity can be.
Oh, your wife is dead? Oh, that's not positive. Oh, you gotta be positive. You gotta do the Squim dance. Do a little squim, make a little love, get down to that.
And I also loved the garbage is for both of us scene, as well as Charlie's B-plot of pretending to be sick to play video games, only to actually get a life-threatening illness, with the DJ Spitz cameo definitely being a nice touch.
Hey, I don't want to freak nobody out or no thing like that, man, but I see the bus driver has devil horns, man. We gotta get off this bus, man. I never can drive the bus is gonna crash, man.
And with this episode consistently making me laugh out loud, Squim Returns gets a 9. Okay, so I can confidently confirm that the Shmaloogles episode is one of the best in the entire series, with the hair loss plotline being incredibly funny, and Charlie's training montage of the Shmaloogles just being peak Smiling Friends.
How about a cool training montage?
And with episodes set in fantastical lands always bringing out the best of Pim and Charlie, well, this episode gets a 9.2. The Glep episode, for just how hyped up it was by the fans, I actually felt was a bit disappointing. I mean, yes, there was definitely funny parts, but for me, this episode was far more interesting than it was funny. And for me, this is definitely one of those episodes where you can really feel the 11-minute time restraint, as the entire storyline just felt rushed, with the conclusion also just feeling incredibly underwhelming. And as a result of this episode gets a 6.7. And so, after all of the episodes, this is how my rankings look, with An Allen Adventure being ranked the best, and the President episode by far the worst. And of course, let me know in the comments, do you agree with my Smiling Friends ranking, or is there anything that you would change? And also let me know if you think Charlie really did take that picture of the Princess Shmaloogles. Oh, and as always, stay happy, stay safe, stay sassy.